I used to have a bad habit of seeing people as objects, treating them as if they were mere commodities that I should analyze to see what value they could provide me as simply another object in a global marketplace. Now, it's not that this viewpoint was incorrect. In fact, it was very useful because all of the most successful people alive have adopted this viewpoint. They see other people as objects. They see relationships as transactions. They want to know what a person can offer them, how they fit into their strategic vision for conquering an industry, for building an empire. These are the people with all the money, all of the connections, all of the power. They drive the fanciest cars and they live in the most exquisite places. But seeing people this way is not the highest way you can choose to see people. It's not the best way you can choose to see people. And in my life, what I found to be true is that relationships are vehicles for you to reach the divine. Whenever you interact with a friend, a family member, or a loved one, you are interacting with another version of yourself, another aspect of you. You are having a dialogue, playing a sport, sleeping with someone who expresses different characteristics than you express. They have different traits, or at least they display different traits. They have a different makeup of traits. Their pie chart is different than yours. They have different percentages of introversion, extroversion, of charisma, of anti-seductive behavior. All of these various traits that come to mind. And when you're interacting with these people, it's very easy to get frustrated. It's very easy to think to yourself, why don't they live differently? Why doesn't this person who's so shy simply break out of their shell and express themselves? They have great ideas, they're talented, perhaps they can make a name for themselves. Or why doesn't this person who's always caught up in drama, always gossiping, always starting rumors, always making noise, why don't they just settle down? Why don't they just stay quiet? Why don't they just bite their tongue and lay low for a bit so that everybody has a better time, so that perhaps they live a better life? You and I ask ourselves this. And what we fail to realize is that they are who they are. I read in a book the other day, a book called The Denial of Death, that people create the lives they need in order to understand themselves. And whenever I heard that line, it resonated with me because I've known this for a long time, but I've never expressed it in those words. People create the lives they need in order to understand themselves, in order to get to know themselves, who they are, why they're here on earth, what they need to do, what's their highest calling, what are they meant to give to humanity, but moreover and more importantly, to God. People create the lives they need because they need something different than you. Everybody is posed a different question on their test of life. You are not asked the same question as the person next to you. You're certainly not asked the same question as the person an ocean away from you. We're all here to answer our own personal riddle. This is why making music, writing, doing anything creative, sculpting, is paramount to someone's growth, to someone understanding who they are. Because whenever you partake in the creative act, you are answering your riddle. You are expressing to humanity, to the listener, to the viewer, to the audience, to your fans, what life is about in your eyes, what you found to be true, how you've experienced this world. And that's why criticism hurts so much unconsciously as a creative, because you feel like people are not validating your answer, and you want people to validate your answer. Now, on a tangent, as a creative, you shouldn't care if people validate your answer so long as you attack the problem through an authentic lens, so long as you went about the process in a genuine way. But in terms of your relationships, whenever you see other people, you and I need to remember that they are different for a reason. You don't want a bunch of yous running around. You want, ideally, people to take on some of your characteristics, bend to your influence a bit, but at the highest level of understanding, at least the highest I've come to, is that you simply want to let people be who they're going to be, who they want to be. And you don't try to maneuver them into different positions. You don't try to manipulate them. You don't try to shift them at all. You simply act as their blank canvas. You become the mirror for them to understand who they are, and vice versa, because you see in them, reflected back at you, characteristics that perhaps you envy, characteristics that you hate, and you see a different makeup, and the tension is what attracts you. This is why you love a woman or you love a man. This is why you're drawn to somebody as a best friend, as a confidant. This is why you're so attached to your family, because they give you who you are, just in a different form. And instead of trying to change them, you and I need to understand them. What makes them tick? Why do they act as they act? Because by understanding other people, by understanding their unique makeup and why they do the things the way they do, why they go about their life in the particular way they go about their lives, you and I can understand perhaps how we could have lived this life differently, how we could still live this life differently, what creation has to offer us in total, how many possibilities there really are. This is what relationships are meant to teach us. They're meant to teach us that there is more to life than just you, that there is something greater in the world. And only by viscerally understanding that and living through that understanding will you get anywhere in your relationships. Will you build the life that you want with the people around you? Because I think the reason why people quit on relationships so quickly is because they want them to mirror back at them exactly what they want, what their ego wants. But God doesn't want that for you. God wants you to learn from people as they are. God has his own plans for them, has his own purposes for them, has his own journey for them to go on. Remember, everybody has their own question that they're answering. And these people are no different. They're answering their own question. And in order for them to answer their own question, we need to answer ours. It's called minding your business. There's no need to mold them. There's no need to bend them. God is doing that right now. As you're watching this video, as I speak, God is molding them and bending them and shaping them as he sees fit, just like he is doing with you. There's no need to get involved. Obviously, live your life, plunge into experience. You're gonna do it. You're gonna try and manipulate them. You're gonna try and maneuver them into different positions because you're a human being. You have a will, you have interests, you have agendas. We can't avoid these things. It's very, very, very difficult to stay completely rooted and firm in God, in having no agenda. And even if you try to do that, it's impossible because you have to have some will, some agenda to express who you are, to answer your own riddle. So there's always going to be this tendency to fall back upon manipulation and coercion. But the more you can stray away from that, steer away from this need to manipulate and coerce, this need to change, this need to criticize and critique endlessly, like you do with yourself, because you do, the more you're going to come to understand yourself, which is going to allow you to answer your life riddle even quicker, more efficiently, and more effectively, more holistically, more romantically, poetically, whatever word or phrase you want to use. So try this out. See other people as the key to your growth, the key to understanding yourself, the key to becoming the person that you're meant to be for the glory of God. With that, I say God bless. Have a great evening. This is New Da Vinci.